Hey Pretty Girl Club, so I wanted to make a quick video about how to transmute and alchemize insults into compliments. One of the common insults that a lot of exoticals will get is, you think you're better. The way that I would respond to that is by saying, no, you think that I'm better. And by the way, I'm flattered that you do. So I just literally turn their insult into something that builds my self-esteem. Another thing that people will say is, you're only black when convenient. Once again, that's actually not an insult. Thank you for validating my fluid identity. Thank you for validating that I can conveniently jump in and out of whatever communities I choose. Oh, he only likes you because of some sort of ism, colorism, texturism, featureism. Wow, you just called me privileged. I never even recognized that about myself. Thank you for validating that I have some form of privilege, even if it's a type of privilege that I don't agree with. Another thing that people will say is, you wouldn't be where you are if it weren't for the black people that supported you. Once again, I'm honored that the black community saw me as worthy enough, beautiful enough, sexy enough, marketable enough, or fashionable enough to promote in the first place. So that's another example of transmuting an insult into something positive. Or when people say, well, you're being conceited, you're being snobby, you're acting stuck up. Wow, thank you for admitting that I have something to be conceited about. Now I get to spend my time thinking, wow, okay, so they think I'm conceited. I wonder what they think I would be conceited about. Is it my beauty? Is it my phenotype? Is it my background? Wow, I'm actually really flattered. Or for the people who say, oh, you're still black. Once again, I would say, thank you. I actually view blackness as beautiful and exotic. So by calling me black, you're actually verifying my beauty and my exoticism. Don't black people, don't they also have like the Eve gene or, all these different things, like they have good genetics or whatever. So thank you. I associate blackness with positive things. I don't associate it with anything negative like you. So once again, I have transmuted an insult into something positive. Or when someone says, you're only considered pretty because of the male gaze. Once again, you just implied that I am attractive and desirable to men. Wow, thank you so much. Now I get to spend my afternoon thinking about all of the strategies and ways in which I can benefit off of the male gaze that you just validated that I have. Or when people say, these exotical YouTube channels are blowing your head up. These exotical YouTube channels are making people cocky. Wow, thank you so much for admitting that these channels are actually empowering people to make better decisions for themselves and to level up. I mean, that's a compliment. Or when people say, you're not special. I have a sister who looks like you. My mother looks like you. My grandma looks like you. Wow, thank you for acknowledging and validating the fact that I am relatable after all, and that I can relate to unambiguous blackness, unlike what a lot of people have said in the past. So you're actually validating my blackness. You're still validating a part of my identity. Or for the people who say, oh, well, I'm divesting, so you can stay in Blackistan. I'm divesting and I'm going to go get a white man because white men are conquerors. Wow, whiteness actually is a part of my bloodline. So you're actually admitting that I have conqueror's blood running through my veins and running in my DNA. That's incredible. I never viewed it that way, but thank you for, I guess, putting me on such a high pedestal. Or when people say, oh, no, I don't want to divest to a white guy. I'm going to divest to a Hispanic guy. I want a Latin American guy. Wow, that's a part of my background as well. Thank you so much for validating that part of my identity. And part of why I'm bringing these things up is because a lot of people who feel like they're at the bottom, they're not at the bottom because of their race or because of their skin color. They're actually at the bottom because they do not understand things like alchemy. They don't understand things like transmutation. I'm starting to sound very woo-woo. I don't consider myself to be like religious or anything, but I do believe in the power of transmuting insults into something that actually builds your self-esteem. So that's why anytime somebody gives me negative attention on YouTube, I thrive off of that. I thrive off of people leaving comments and saying, oh, well, F her, F these YouTube channels, because I love being able to respond because that gives me even more content. I've made over 400 videos at this point. That is a phenomenal work ethic. You may be able to talk a lot of shit, but you cannot deny that I have endless creativity and an endless work ethic. And do I sound cocky? Yes. Do I give a fuck? No. That is actually a form of transmutation, because instead of allowing other people's negative energy to get to me, I use that negative energy to validate the fact that I am beautiful and poppin' enough, basically, to rile that person up. I mean, clearly I am relevant enough in your life to rile you up or to make you angry. And so I have learned how to utilize those things to actually validate that I am doing something right. You know how people say if you have others hating on you, it's a sign that you're doing something right? That is something that I have learned, and it's something that has helped me so much, because I used to be scared of people's jealousy. I used to be scared of criticism or people hating on me, because I used to think, this is literally dangerous if people are hating on me. But now the way I see it is, no, now I've got more energy to feed off of. Yes, that's right. I know how to feed off of other people's energy and kind of put that into my own and alchemize it so that I can make money off of it. Yes, I know how to profit off of other people who, whether they talk about this channel or whether they talk about, my phenotype or whatever, I know how to profit off of that. And I still relish in the attention, because it really is just bringing watch time to the channel. But this is something you can use in real life, though. Like, anytime you walk into a room and you've got women giving you dirty looks, you can actually alchemize that and think in your mind, wait a minute, this is confirmation that I'm absolutely gorgeous. Because the fact that I walk into a room and all I'm doing is existing and other women are angry, this is actually validating the fact that I am beautiful. And by the way, I do use affirmations to my benefit. Be sure to check out my friend, the Exotic Brown Skin. She has a video where she has affirmations on there. Dulce K is another creator who has affirmations on her channel. One of my affirmations is, other people's jealousy is proof that I'm doing something right. And so that's a form of alchemy. It's a form of taking something negative and using it to build yourself up. I've noticed another common insult people will use is, you only are being treated that way because you're in the Black community, or you only have money or status or fame because of Black people. You copied Black people to get to where you are. You copied XYZ group of people to get to where you are. I can transmute that and say, I recognized an opportunity. I was smart enough and strategic enough to recognize a business opportunity for myself and utilize that opportunity as a stepping stone to get to my desired destination. Guess what? This is the world we're living in, people. So I've noticed that the people who believe really heavily in things like karma and all that, or the people who are very religious, have you ever noticed how teachings like karma and religion are often taught to poor people, or they're often promoted with women? Because they want you to remain docile. They don't want you to have a strong mind. They don't want you to fight back. And have you also noticed how a lot of traditionally religious people are very scared of other people? They're scared of like witches, or like, they're scared of people who use their mind to get to where they are. They're scared of social climbers. They're too scared to do that because they've been taught that that's wrong. Meanwhile, everybody else is doing that on their behalf. Everybody else is social climbing for themselves. They're all increasing their own wealth or status. And then you're over here being told, oh no, just sit down and be a good girl. And then, karma's going to come to get them in the end. And you're going to go to heaven and they're going to go to hell. The way that I see it is, I believe in the concept of cause and effect. So first of all, when it comes to karma, if karma truly existed, most men would be dead. Most white people would be dead. So I have a very hard time believing in the concept of karma. I believe more in cause and effect. So for example, if I punch one person in the face, I may not necessarily get punched back. But if I punch 20 people in the face, eventually I'm going to punch the wrong person and then I will be punched back. That's more cause and effect. Kind of like it depends on the situation and whether or not you will receive consequences. So I've noticed that a lot of people, they want to shame you for being privileged because they want you to feel like you have bad karma coming to you for being a privileged person. They want you to feel like, hey, you may be privileged today, but the tables are going to turn and you're going to be at the bottom tomorrow. So they want you to feel discouraged. They want you to feel afraid of losing your position in society because that person puts you on a higher status than them. So instead of them seeking their own form of success, they're focusing on your success, and then they're trying to invalidate it, and then they're kind of preying on your downfall as if somehow sitting on the sidelines and jealously hoping that you fail is going to make them feel better. But I've learned how to actually feed off of that negative energy and remind myself, wait a minute, I've got so many people that are coming against me and that want me to fail. And so let me transmute their negative energy into validation that I'm actually doing something correct. Because why would they be so threatened by me if I weren't powerful? The fact that this many people are threatened by your beauty, or they're threatened by your intelligence, or they're threatened by your YouTube channel, this shows that you have some sort of innate power that challenges their identity. That's how powerful you are. You are so powerful to the point where all you have to do is walk in a room and people are mad. All you have to do is go on a date and the guy's trying to humble you on day one. That's how powerful you are. That's how much social power you have. And the main people calling you privileged are the ones who want your privilege. Notice how it's usually poor people who get pissed at rich people. It's usually people who feel like they are beneath white people who get the most pissed at white people. It's people who feel like they are beneath others who get the most pissed at somebody else's privilege. And by the way, damn near anything can be a privilege. So I've noticed that a lot of people, because they have a scarcity mindset, they believe that privilege is a monolith. They believe that only one type of person or only one group of people or only one race or ethnicity or skin tone can have any sort of privilege. And because of their own scarcity mindset and limiting beliefs, they believe that they are boxed into an underprivileged lifestyle. I don't identify with that. I do not identify with being an underprivileged victim of things like colorism, texturism, featureism, or, I don't believe that I'm a victim of not being as marketable as somebody else. No, nobody is better than me. That is literally one of my affirmations. Nobody's better than me. Nobody is ahead of me. Nobody is innately better than me or whatever. I am not inferior to anybody. And by the way, the reason that I talk about affirmations and the reason that I support the concept is because a belief is just something that you affirm to yourself over and over. A belief is just a thought that you think over and over again. So whenever you think a certain thought, it creates a neural pathway in your brain. And the more that you keep thinking that same exact thought, the deeper the neural pathway becomes in your brain and the more likely you are to believe it. And so if you think you're cute, because that's an insult that a lot of people like to give. So if you think you're cute, what they're really saying is, you have affirmed yourself for being cute so many times to the point where being cute is now an ingrained neural pathway in your brain, and being cute is now a part of your identity. And I am mad at that because I don't have that same confidence. I am mad because I don't think I'm cute, so I'm mad at you for thinking that you're cute. How dare you be a black woman and think you're cute? How dare you be dark-skinned and think you're cute? How dare you have 4C hair and think you're cute? How dare you have the audacity to speak your mind on YouTube and not be politically correct and think that that's okay? I've noticed that that's really what people are threatened by. They're threatened because you have broken the status quo, because that's how powerful you are. That's how powerful you are on the inside. That's how beautiful your mindset is. A lot of women have pretty faces and a fugly ass mindset. They don't believe that they're actually pretty, so you might as well have been an ogre, because if you don't even think you're cute, you could be the prettiest person in the world, but if you don't even have the mindset of thinking you're cute, then you're not going to act like you're cute, you're not going to go out for opportunities that require you to be cute, you're not going to feel as confident as someone who does think they're cute, and so you will constantly be putting yourself in the position of inferiority. And guess what's going to happen if you keep on affirming your inferiority? Guess what's going to happen? You're creating neural pathways in the brain, and those pathways are deepening every time you keep repeating that thought. Black men don't like dark-skinned women like me. Men don't like dark-skinned women. Everybody's a colorist. White men are more colorist than black men. If I go to another country, they're going to be racist against me. Italians don't like black people. Another black person got killed today. If I go out to a police station, they're going to discriminate against me. I'm going to get a longer prison sentence than a light-skinned person. If you keep on validating those things in your neural pathways, guess what? Did you know that the deeper a neural pathway is and the more you affirm a thought, the more likely it is to become a belief? If you don't believe me, please do a quick Google search. You can go and look up people like Dr. Daniel Amen. Please go look up the work of Dr. Caroline Leaf. These people talk about this concept all the time. So if you keep on affirming something, whether it's you speaking it out loud or you watching YouTube videos about it or you saying it to yourself, you are deepening those pathways in your brain. You're literally training your brain and you're training your own identity by the way, everything you do is shaping your identity, just so you know. So you're forming an identity around suffering. You are forming your identity around being inferior to someone else, or like your beauty is inferior to someone who's whiter than you, or your blackness or your dark skin makes you lower in the dating market. So if you keep on validating that, then yeah, that's gonna fuck you up in comparison to somebody who doesn't have those traumas and those inferiority complexes. Because by the way, experiencing trauma, that actually causes your amygdala, which is the fight or flight response, it causes that to become overactive to the point where maybe somebody wasn't even a colorist or racist, but because your amygdala is so overactive, now you are not even trying. You're not even trying to go out and succeed. You're not even trying to have that pretty privilege or socialize because you've already had this preconceived notion in your mind that because of your skin tone, you're going to be overlooked. Because of your hair texture, you're going to be overlooked. And so that's why I have learned to transmute even negative energy into positive energy. I have learned to literally get an ego boost. Yes, I said the word ego. I don't care what people think of egos. Everybody has an ego. I do not hate my ego. Like I said, I do not believe in self-hate. I refuse to hate any part of myself. That includes my own ego. No, I'm not going to hate my ego. No, I'm not going to hate myself for my past mistakes. No, I'm not going to beat myself up if I have a moment of thinking I'm the shit or being quote unquote cocky. No, I'm not going to beat myself up for that, and I'm not going to hate myself for that. So guess what? I don't hate my ego either. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, you have an inflated ego. So-and-so has an inflated ego. And it's like, why do I care about some random politician having an inflated ego? If somebody truly does have an inflated ego, their life circumstances are going to screw them over anyway. Like, let's say you think you're more talented than you are, or, you know, like, no offense, but kind of like J-Lo or whatever. If you really are like that, the work will fail on its own, and if anything, that ego will be deflated eventually. So even if that person does have a quote unquote inflated ego, me calling it out or me feeling the need to bash them, that doesn't really serve me. That doesn't serve me because I'm still focusing on someone else. I'm still making them the main character, which is actually building their ego back up. So anytime people say you have an inflated ego, you think you're cuter than you are, well, you telling a person they think they're cuter than they are, all you're doing is attempting to deflate their self-esteem. You feel like they don't deserve to have as much confidence as they have with that face or with that body. A lot of people do this to overweight women. They'll say, well, you're not cute enough because you're fat, or like, you know, you're acting like you're cute, or you think you're cute because of your skin tone, and you're 200 pounds overweight. And so you shouldn't be that confident. That's basically what they're implying. You don't get to be as confident as someone who is skinny because your weight makes you inferior to that person who is skinny. And it's like, no, just because you feel inferior to people who are skinnier than you, that doesn't mean that others take on that same mindset. So even to the people that say, you have an inflated ego, ha ha, look at your failures, I'm making fun of them, that's not going to make that person humble. It's not going to make them humble. It's not going to make J-Lo, for an example, it's not going to make her say, okay, I'm going to never create music again. I'm going to never perform again. Okay, I'll just never be a celebrity again. Okay, I'll just go sit in my room the rest of my life and just never do my passions ever again. So even if you're calling out that somebody has an inflated ego, it still is not the substantial change that you think it's going to be, because you can't change anybody else. So your commentary, it's not going to change who they are at their core. What makes someone who they are at their core, I believe that it goes back to how that person thinks or how that person feels on the inside. So you telling someone you think you're all that, that's not going to change the neural pathways in their brain. In fact, that's actually going to affirm them, because you are proving that they have something to be cocky about, or you're proving that they have something to feel superior about. Anyway, I have had to learn how to feed off of energy and attention, whether it is positive or negative. I have learned how to alchemize it and make it work in my favor. And then for those who say, oh, well, the fact that you guys are hanging on to your admixtures, you know, your 15% this or 20% that, the fact that you guys are embracing that is pathetic. Do you not understand what DNA activation is? Do you not understand the concept of alchemizing your DNA? Or are you one of those people who chooses to hate 15% of yourself because it's white, or because it's black, or because the family member that had that in their DNA passed away. So no, just because you only choose to love 85% of yourself, I don't have to do that. I choose to love 100% of myself, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, whether I think I'm cute, whether I'm fat or skinny. I choose to have radical self-love. So just because you don't want to love that 15% because you think it's too small and insignificant, I don't think any part of myself is insignificant. I'm important. So just because you view a part of yourself as unimportant, that doesn't mean that I have to take on those same limitations. You're the one with the limiting belief about your DNA, not me. I know how to transmute and alchemize that 15 or 20% of my DNA into my fluid identity. I know how to bring that up and use that to my advantage when it's convenient. You know, that idea that you guys gave me, I would have never thought about that. Conveniently jumping in and out of one culture or another. I would have never even known what a fluid identity was had other people not been spying and, accusing me of having that. So now that I have transmuted that insult into building my persona or building who I am on the inside, guess what? I get to embrace whatever parts of myself I want. I get to downplay or play up whatever parts of myself that I want. Just like how when you put makeup on your face, you play up certain features today. You play up other features tomorrow. Some days you choose to put on eye makeup. Other days you choose to do your lips. Then you might choose to do your cheeks. It doesn't mean, oh my God, you hate your eyelids because you didn't put eyeshadow on today. You put eyeshadow on yesterday. Why didn't you put eyeshadow on today? It's like, no, I have fluid beauty. Like you have choices with what type of makeup you want to wear. And guess what? I also have choices with what parts of my identity I want to strengthen. So if I want to strengthen that part of my identity that has to do with whether it's an admixture, whether it is my body weight, like for the women who, let's say you're overweight or something, or you're aging, and instead of having an inferiority complex, you choose to embrace that, or you're dark skinned, all these things that other people try to teach you to dislike about yourself, you actually don't have to take that on. And it's like, no, I know how to alchemize everything. Well, I don't know how to alchemize everything yet, but I am in the process of practicing how to alchemize everything. That includes negative parts of myself, such as my quote unquote ego, or, thinking I'm cute, or being rude, being a bitch or whatever. I choose to alchemize that part of myself. I choose to love every part of myself. I don't say, oh no, I'm only 15% this, so fuck that. I hate that part of myself. I hate that part of my background. I hate those ancestors. No. That culture has something to offer. I mean, every culture, every people group has contributed to society. So I don't hate it. I'm not like racist against an entire group of people because they did one bad thing. I don't say, oh, white people, they were slave owners, so now I hate everybody that's white. No, like white people did bad stuff, and so did black people and indigenous people. Like every people group has pros and cons. And so for me, instead of focusing on the cons and kind of like internalizing the negative aspects of my own ancestry, how about I say fuck all that and I choose to go out of my way to internalize the positive aspects of who I am? Or I simply alchemize it and turn it from something negative into a positive. You think I have an ego? Okay, well, let me look up who else has big egos and how they have used those egos to make money. Because a lot of people who are in Hollywood, did you know that, number one, most people are on the narcissistic scale? Just in general. Anybody who studies psychology knows this. Number two, celebrities are actually, on average, a little bit higher on the narcissistic scale. So not every celebrity is an actual narcissist to where they can like clinically identify it, but a lot of them have to be pretty high up, pretty close to being a narcissist to even be that much of an icon or to believe in yourself that much. So for the people who say, well, you're a narcissist, you're acting narcissistic, all you're saying is, the way that I'm going to translate that is, okay, this means that I have more of an opportunity for fame because oftentimes narcissists have a grandiose sense of self. Having a grandiose sense of self isn't always bad. It is actually a good thing to sometimes have a lot of audacity and to think that you can change the world. Martin Luther King was definitely on the narcissistic scale for thinking that he could just, that he's somehow such a great speaker and he can just go up and speak in front of everybody as a black man, So that actually took a very grandiose sense of self for him to even have the audacity to do that in the first place. So I have learned how to take negative things that other people think are bad or like, oh, you're being a narcissist, And I've learned how to make those things work for me. So being delusional is something that a lot of people call exoticals. They'll say you're delusional or you think you're cuter than you are. Okay, so delusion, once again, that ties into having a grandiose sense of self. I know that I have big dreams. I know that I've got dreams to do amazing things that I've never seen done before. I've never seen anybody make a YouTube channel called Exoticals Unite. I've never seen that. So for you, maybe you have dreams that you've never seen anyone achieve. And so technically, you have a grandiose sense of self for having dreams in the first place. So is that really a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad thing. So guess what? I choose to embrace that part of myself. I don't have to shrink myself or follow religious and spiritual rules in order to appease some people who are going to stay in the background for their whole lives. I don't want to be a side character in my own life. I don't want to be an NPC in my own life. I don't want to be the non-playable character in my own life. And I practice radical self-love. So I radically love myself. I radically accept myself. That includes negative things about myself. So if people say, well, you guys are having an ego and your heads are getting big. Okay, well, guess what? I choose to accept that about myself. I accept the fact that I have flaws or that other people may perceive me a certain way, and that's okay. Those people are just not my people because maybe they don't want to deal with those aspects of my personality, and that is totally okay. Everybody's not going to like me. And so I'm not going to waste my life trying to be a people pleaser or trying to prove to others how humble and how moral I am and, prove to them that I'm such a great person. That doesn't make me happy. So for some of you, maybe it does make you happy. But for me personally, it just happens to not make me happy at this time. Anyway, what do you ladies think? Have you learned how to transmute negative energy into something that is positive and builds you up? Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.